Hi, good afternoon. I'm Ken Kirschenbaum, and this is our Central Station 2020 webinar series. And today is General Monitoring Services. They're out of California. And Robert Few is the president. He's going to be presenting to you and telling you all about General Monitoring Services, why you should use that Central Station instead of all the others or any of the others. Hold your questions. You can write them to me, and I'll then read them to Robert when he's finished with his presentation. So we hope that there's going to be about a 20-minute presentation and then time for questions and answers. I'm sure that Robert's going to have his contact information available during the webinar. Make sure you take it down, because any questions you have about General Monitoring Services, you should be writing to Robert about it. So we're very happy to have General Monitoring Services make this presentation. They are on the Alarm Exchange, and so if you go to the Alarm Exchange looking for a Central Station, you'll find them. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Robert. And Robert, you are ready to go.
Great. Thank you, Ken. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Eileen, and everybody else at K&K for putting this on. It's just been a fantastic learning exercise for a lot of people in the industry. I want to make sure that I am sharing everything that you need to see. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes,
You're good to go.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for having me. I'd like to take a few minutes of everybody's time and talk about GMS. We're very a great kept secret down here in California. With everything going on today, I felt like we should probably go through somewhat of the same agenda that the other companies have gone through. Talk about what really makes us a great player here in California, as well as how we're a little bit unique to this field. So a little bit of an introduction today to GMS. GMS has been around forever in the central station industry, over 30 years. Sorry, my screen is a little slower than everybody else's, so I apologize, but a little bit about me. A lot of people know me, my family, through this industry. I'm not really going to drain this slide. It's my least favorite one, which just kind of talks about me. But a little bit of background on me. I started in the central station industry when I was a child under King Central out of Hackensack, New Jersey. My family grew that central station. It turned into a lot of different names: King Monshall, NACC, Criticom, and now I think it operates as Criticom Monitoring Services. I ran the operation for that, and we were the leader at the time, largest in the central station industry contract side, probably the best service levels of any company at that time. Left Criticom in 2007 when it was bought out by Protection One, and then went to South Carolina and started up Legacy Central Station. That's currently operating in Greenville, South Carolina by my brother Jeff. So today I sit as president and CEO of General Monitoring Services here in Huntington Beach, California. General Monitoring, what attracted me to General Monitoring is it was very much like my family's central station. It was started by Joseph Chetta. He was a former LA County Sheriff, started a security company, General Security Services, and then started doing his own monitoring under General Monitoring Services. Joey was very well respected in this area, had a bunch of other dealers that monitored with him. At one point, he decided that it was time to only focus on monitoring. He was starting to get a little flack from the other dealers that are using a central station, because he was a competitor as well, and wanted to make sure that he was doing the right thing for his clients. Sold his security business and really focused on the monitoring side. Today, GMS continues to uphold the highest levels of professionalism, integrity, and technology. We serve our partners in a number of ways. We're going to go through all of that through this slide deck on the different things that we monitor and how we do it. As far as services, just like a lot of our competitors that you've already heard from this in this series, if it can be monitored, we monitor it, whether it's intrusion monitoring, fire monitoring, elevator, area of refuge, GPS and vehicle and asset tracking, environmental, PERS and MPERS. We do a lot of video monitoring and smart devices. So whether it's a sprinkler head out in a cornfield or whether it's attached to a truck or a person, like most companies in this industry, we can monitor it. Some of our partners, this is a very small sample of all the different partners. General Monitoring remains a very custom shop. So if you are looking to deploy a specific technology, we'll support you in it. If you are a developer of technology, we want to hear from you. Ken Gresty, who's on this webinar as well, he heads up business development for us, and he is really charged with going out and finding the next best thing, whether that's the next best thing in monitoring or an existing tool that makes us more efficient or makes our partner and dealers more efficient. So you'll see a bunch of names on here that, every other central station has put these up as well. We have a new vendor that's come to us and offers exclusivity on their product. And I think that we just kind of remain agnostic. We don't want to limit somebody's sales or limit our dealers to certain technology. So we really like to partner with a lot of different vendors to bring the best technology and efficiency to our dealers. I was joking with Ken earlier and other people that every one of these webinars have really kind of followed the same cadence. So I felt the need to talk about COVID-19 because it affects everybody differently. In the Emergency Response Center, we have chosen to remain a manned central station. There's a few other central stations that said the same thing, and I think all of our reasons are the same. We can really deliver the best products to our partners by being here in the building, under the right supervision and the right management team. And we've got one of the best that I've ever worked with here at General Monitoring. So a couple of things that we're doing is we are following all the CDC recommendations, plus California. California likes to take everything and put it on almost like steroids. We do enhanced sanitation of the building and work surfaces. We've got HEPA air cleaners. We do employee temperature checks before they come in for the day. We've spaced out our workstations so we can remain 6 feet apart. We have deployed masks and shields and all other types of PPE in a way to be positive. We've branded our masks so we can have unity in this COVID response. We feel that by bringing everybody into the office every day, we've really limited the amount of exposure to our staff. So if something arises, we've got the room to put people in different areas. We can take care of our people differently. Non-essential employees have been given the ability to work from home, but we really try to limit the exposure to the building. We do not allow our clients into the building today. We do not allow non-essential deliveries to the building today. So we really try to kind of cap that and just really protect what's inside. And I think it's really working out well. Our employees have let us know that they appreciate everything we've done for them so far, and that we continue to do. So let's talk a little bit more specific about GMS and why we think that we are the best option for small to mid-sized dealers in this business. When we focus everything at the front line, so everything we do here is under the direction of the end of the line operator. So whether it's the supplies we order, the way we talk to dealers, the way we integrate dealers into our software, we really look at it through the eyes of a dispatcher. So everything we do here is focused on them. So when I came on board to GMS at the beginning of this year, we really changed the culture. And it was pretty simple to do once we could get everybody to really understand the 3 pillars, which was kindness, respect, and trust. And once we were able to get the right people in the right seats, all kind of marching to that drum, it really transitioned the call center into a very positive environment, which for all those people that are on this call that run call centers, you know how difficult that can be. But a few things that we do is we execute with integrity. We are the last stop between you and your customer. So we have to make sure that everything we're doing is we're following the right procedures and that we're handling things appropriately. because we are our partners in front of their customers. We want to boldly inspire positive impacts across our organization and through our network of partners, whether that's in the way we treat each other, the way we look for better ways to do business, the way we look for better ways to interact with your customers, or just what we do here in Huntington Beach as far as supporting our community. We've got extremely talented and valued individuals that work here. And as far as a management team goes, I couldn't have asked for more. Yeah, we had to make a few changes, but those changes have continuously propelled us, to a more successful future. For us, our partners come first. We treat them the way we want to be treated. For anyone that's in the central station business, there are people out there that who are frustrated with their alarm system, and they start looking at, or in their interaction with the dispatcher is really not so much with the dispatcher, but whatever wall wart is in their house that's not working, they tend to take that out on the dispatcher. So we really want to make sure that everything we're doing around that situation is really taking care of our employees, so that the second they hang up that phone and pick up the next caller, they're not carrying that with them. We empower them to act like owners. Who better than our employees to tell us how to make our business better? They're on the phones all day, all night. And as we've asked them to say, hey, if you think you're doing something just to do it that way, we want to throw it out, right? So it goes back to, the whole sacred cows make the best burgers. I'll give a little credit to Steve Firestone for introducing me to that book. But I've really looked at every organization I've worked with to say, we shouldn't do things because that's the way we always did it. If you do that, you just become a dinosaur. So we've empowered all of our employees to look at everything we do, from calling a customer to texting to interacting with them electronically. How do we make this business better? Not so much for us and the owners, but for the end users. And we focus on professional development. The one thing that we don't ever want an employee to do is get stale. So whether it's specifically related to alarm monitoring or the alarm industry or other leadership goals, we really push our people to go out and achieve those. We want them happy and we want them here. And we strive to create a team-oriented culture that makes people want to come to work and want to work with each other. I think that's really important when you're a smaller company like GMS, to really utilize your employees to propel you further down the successful highway, because they're the ones that are going to get you there. So a little bit about why GMS is unique. We are focused 100% on growing our existing dealers. We don't have an outside sales team. We don't have salespeople. We've got dedicated employees that talk to dealers every day. 100% of our dealers are referrals, at least in the last few years. The amount of dealers that have joined GMS in the last 6 months is probably 10, and all 10 of them have been referred to us by either a friendly competitor in a market, a technician that was doing a job for them and said, hey, I do jobs for this other guy who uses GMS. We are 100% family owned. The second generation of the Chetta family now has the reins, and they're committed to this business and growing for the future generations of the Chetta family. We've had several offers in the last year to purchase us from some of our larger competitors, and it's just not even entertained at this point. They really want to make sure that this company is here and that their father's legacy carries on. GMS has zero debt. We are a cash flow positive company. It's so, the biggest level of pride is the fact that we do not owe any money against the business. We own the building, we own the technology. We're not vulnerable to acquisitions or recapitalizations, which I think is a great testament to the family and how they've structured this business over the last few decades. Other things that make us unique is newsletters. Everybody has a newsletter. Everybody puts out, what's going on in the industry. We really try to focus our newsletter on education. How can our partners navigate these times? What other vendors could they employ at their businesses to help get market traction, to gain efficiencies in their installation, to better their communication path with their customers? Those are what we really focus on. GMS is completely dedicated to growing that base. Dealer tenure. I mean, the same dealers that started this business, back in the 80s are still here. Over the time and through different management, some dealers have left. And the greatest day is when those dealers call back and say, hey, it wasn't worth the 25-cent reduction. We want to come back. We really like the way we're treated here. We're smaller in size and field because we're just a smaller business, but it's limitless in technology and support. We're not going to have this huge mega center that we've put millions of dollars into when we didn't need to. So we really focused on our infrastructure here, making sure that we own the building and that it's a hardened facility and can fully support our growth plans. We've got a mentorship program that we carry out to every one of our dealers and partners, and that is to help them get bigger. In past lives, we've done that through acquisition, and today it's really through organic growth. We want to make sure that our partners are growing their businesses every day. Every time that they put on an account, we put on an account. We want to make sure that that continues along that way. We, just as an example, we're working with one of our companies who, believe it or not, the 3G sunset kind of took them by surprise, and they weren't really sure how best to navigate that. And that's one of the biggest challenges facing our industry today. Is not that it's just a technology upgrade; it's funding that. How do you sell that to your customer to make sure that you're not going out and spending $150 on every customer that you don't have? So we looked at funding options and how best to raise money off his existing business without losing it. He in contract support, connecting him with like the Kirschenbaum firm to make sure that he's protected, whether it's in his subscriber agreements or business dealings. We want to make sure that he's talking to industry icons like Ken that have been through every situation out there. It's worth paying for because you get all that experience. Another one of our partners is really focused on growth through acquisition, but didn't know how to do it. Like I can buy accounts, but how do I do it? So sitting down with them and helping them understand how that works, and then partnering him with some of our vendors who do that for a living to make sure that he is now leveraging their experience and their intelligence on it. My screen. And then we're committed to our employees. This is Alfredo. Alfredo is now our manager of training. So he handles all the training programs we do, whether it's new employee onboarding to looking at training manuals for best practices to setting up leadership development. I mean, we really invested in Alfredo to make sure that he could have all the tools he needs to run a world-class central station. Our management team has, on average, 22 years of experience. We've been around the block. Most people in this company have grown up in this industry, whether they started as operators and gone to the technical side, to the billing side, to you name it, and they are all 100% committed to the customer experience. Lots of different people that have done these seminars have talked about their attrition. I think that affiliate mentioned that 1 out of 100 people get hired, and that's an important stat. 77% of our employee attrition happens in 90 days. When I threw that on the slide, everybody looked at me like, wow, that's a really bad stat. And I said, well, the thing about statistics is they tell us two stories. Yeah, it's bad. It's just saying that, we have not figured out how to get everybody onboarded. But what it really tells me is that we eliminate 77% of people not made or not cut for this business. This is a tough business. I mean, yes, anybody can monitor an alarm today. It's really about the people, but those people have life and property in their hands every phone call they make, and sometimes that's 100 a day. So we really do a good job in weeding those people out. I like to say that 50% of those people, after a few weeks, realize this business is not for them. We actually require people to be here on time every day and to show up for all their shifts. And the other side is, 50%, although they really want it bad, we realize that they're not really made for this business. And if we can transition them into a non-supporting operational role, we will, but sometimes we just need to make those people available to our competitors. And, we want to continue to promote their growth, whether it's, as a dispatcher, a phone operator, data entry, billing. We have set up a program this year where we want every one of our employees to to live a day in the life and actually rotate through all of our departments so they have a true understanding of how this business functions. So when they do get that phone call at 2 in the morning, they can handle it the best way possible. Every one of our employees is cross-trained. I know that some people have come on here and say, well, we've got special operators for this and special operators for that. And we do the same too. You know, we've got people whose strength is in video or their strength is in two-way voice. But we want to make sure that every single person is trained in all different areas. The reason we do that is this industry is very subject to storms, and whether that's storms of nature or storms of human nature. And you could be running a perfectly flat, predictable shift and get an activity spike. And the only way to combat that is to make sure that you've got more people to handle that spike. And if we did not cross-train everybody in every area, we would have a 1-second phone response and a 4-minute alarm response, and that doesn't work. You need to be able to take every one of those events and handle them equally in a good response time. So we spent a lot of time making sure that every single person could do every job inside that central station. You know, one of the biggest questions that Ken asked at the end is, so how do you price? You know, where's your billing? And a lot of the central stations have moved in this industry to, you know, a per event pricing scale. And GMS has thought about that as well. And although we've got 1 or 2 partners that we do activity pricing for, traditionally, we are a traditional billing customer. You've got a base rate. We've got add-ons based on technology that you're using. You know, our base rate is $4.50. If you're a startup alarm company, that's the price you're going to be paying as a base. If you are a larger company, obviously, you know, volume rules. That price is less. But as far as activity goes, we want our partners to understand that every operator event has an action, but you're not held accountable to just one. And that's the fear, is that you've got a partner that's got 100 accounts, and 99 are perfect, but one is a nightmare. We want to make sure that we're working with them and that there's no surprises when their bill comes. We really want to make sure that we're helping them succeed in their business as well as ours. So I think that it really provides a better level of service when everybody is upfront and transparent. It doesn't surprise your accounts payable person when you get a bill because you missed your tier that month. We want to make sure that, you know, there's grace period in there. However, if you do have some of these accounts that are high active, we want to investigate that with you to see what we can do to bring it down, because it provides a better level of service to your customer. It takes out things like alarm fatigue. If you've got commercial property that we're just calling on nonstop, you know, the end user gets numb to that and they're going to miss an actual. And, you know, if the activity is required or necessary, you're protecting a construction site and there's nothing else you can do, we want to make sure that the billing is adjusted for that customer so that we can cover the cost of the operator. And, you know, overall, you know, what we want to do is remove anxiety, whether it's from billing and collections or to overall. We want to make sure that our partners are trusting us with their livelihoods and that they're okay with that it's not going to be this, you know, up and down type of flow. They can budget and focus their business and spend their time focused on what they need to, not worrying, you know, whether they're going to get some crazy bill from us, you know, for activity. So how do we help our partners? Like I said earlier today, we really focus on our dealers and the growth of those dealers. You know, we have 65,000 accounts at GMS today. Maybe it's 64 and change, but it's pretty close. And, you know, we're committed to having all of those dealers continue to grow evenly. So, you know, we work together to find efficiencies in their businesses. We really focus on their growth. Like, what can we do? Can we offer different products and services? Can we take what we learned from dealer 1 and bring it to dealer 2? You know, how we can support their sales practices. You know, we've got a wealth of knowledge on the customer life cycle, so we help our dealers to develop that so that they're talking to their customers, whether it's through upgrades or through referral programs. You know, and then we assist others. You know, there's a lot of integrators out there that are focused on, you know, one segment of the market, whether it's commercial or residential or government or PERS or video or you know, jumping into the smart home. We really want to make sure that we are offering all those services to all of our partners, that we are taking the learnings that we obtain through the other dealers and bring them to them so they can start and start their path to success. Outside of that, I mean, that's GMS. We are, like I said, we are a family business right down to the operators. Every person here is committed to making GMS stronger and more successful in the days ahead. We've really got a great team here that is willing and able to service all the members of this webinar and beyond. We really just want to be open to that. If you have questions, this is my contact information. If you call my phone number, that's my cell number. I will always answer it. We are 100% committed to helping our partners be more successful in this industry. With that, I'd like to say thank you to Ken and your team for putting on this series. It's been educational for me and many other people I've talked to. So thanks for giving GMS the opportunity to speak to your database here. And if there's questions, we can take them.
Thank you, Robert. That was a very thorough presentation. I'm actually surprised we're going to get any questions because you had everything so laid out. But here's one. What is your base rate?
So the base rate is $4.50.
Okay. Do you ever give incentives to dealers that want to come on board?
Absolutely. So we do a few different things. So I said we don't have any salesperson, but we do work with other brokers and dealers. So if you are at a current central station, you are switching to GMS, first thing we're going to do is we're going to give you a free month. We want you to not worry about paying your bill that first month. We want to just focus on making sure we have a successful transition. We also, based on size, compensate our dealers that are signing up with us with free months along the service of their contract, right? So if you sign a 3-year agreement, we will give you a certain amount of credit. If you sign a 5-year agreement, we'll do a little bit more. We can either comp your accounts for that month or write you a check. It really depends on what suits the best needs for your business. But yeah, we do have those incentives, and any brokers that bring GMS business, we compensate them as well.
Is GMS available? The question actually is, what about co-monitoring? The ability of an existing proprietary central station to use GMS as a backup central?
Absolutely. One thing I didn't touch on, which I will, is that we are backed by Stages. So Stages is part of the Bold Group. They are probably the I don't know how to really say it, but as far as monitoring goes, they're the Cadillac, and it allows us a lot of flexibility to do things like that. So if we've got somebody that is looking for a backup central station, whether it's a part-time central station, a weekend and night type thing, or just for disaster recovery, we'd love to talk to them.
Okay. Jessica said you did an awesome job, but you're not off the hook yet.
Jessica, by the way, is our central station manager and one of the finest in the industry.
Ah, what do they call that? A ringer. You had a ringer.
That's right. That's my ringer for the day.
Okay. Then I went off on that tangent. I forgot what I wanted to ask you. Do you have a dealer portal with support tools, marketing support, etc.?
Yep. So we do. I think I'll break that up in a few different parts. Yeah, we've got dealer portals for dealers to operate their business within GMS, right? Make changes, check activity, those type of things. Whether it's on an app on their phone or their computer, that also gets extended down to the end user. As far as marketing support, absolutely, we will do everything we can to make you successful. Sometimes in spite of yourself, we really try to get people out of their comfort zones and looking to the larger industry as a whole versus what they've always done.
Do you have text messaging?
Yep.
So that the signal comes in, the customer will get a text message, right?
Right. And
okay,
then, and then we fully support alarm.com, so that if a customer is on the alarm.com platform and they use the cancel alarm feature, that'll pass through the automation as well.
Are your operators equipped to handle video monitoring?
Yep, we do a lot of video here at GMS, and whether it's standalone cameras, whether it's ring down escort service, guard tours, or activity-based monitoring. We can do them all.
Is the central station UL approved?
Yep, we are UL listed to 827.
And so do you have a redundant site?
Nope, we are small enough that we are the single site here, so we focused everything on making sure that we are, triple redundant on everything internally.
Doesn't UL require redundancy for a listing?
Sure. If on their new system, if you have, I don't remember the term, but pretty much over 100,000 accounts, you really need to have a second central station. You can stretch that one way or the other depending on the type of accounts you have, but we're not required to have a second site at this time.
Do you issue UL certificates for your dealers?
No, we do not. Now,
No,
if we had a dealer that had that requirement, the only reason we don't do anything is because we just don't have a dealer that needs it. But if there was a dealer, we would definitely talk to them about that process. I've done it in the past, and it's just a process you have to follow. So we are able to do that. We just don't have anyone doing that today.
Can you arrange for runner service or guard response service if need be?
Absolutely. It's just a different person to call on our call list.
Okay. Well, who finds them, you or the dealer?
Sometimes it's a combination depending on where they're located.
Okay.
Right. Typically, if a dealer's in an area that doesn't have police response, so there's a bunch of areas in California. Sandy Springs is a hot topic. We can put them, partner them with a response agency, whether it's here in California or in other states. If it's for UL and whatnot, typically it's working with the alarm company to make sure that the runners are available at the times necessary.
How many signals are you getting in Portland, and what are you doing with them?
Well, if you looked at our newsletter a few months ago, last month, we talked a lot about the LA riots and what effect that had on our dealers, on our operators, and as the end users, because we were very much affected by that. And our video operators were talking to customers who were also looking at their video as their businesses were being looted. And at that point, the police department, it's more of a call out at that point where we notify the police department. They're like, we're in the area, we're doing what we can. As soon as we can get over there, we will. So go on our website, look at our newsletter, and you can learn about how we responded to that. It's a lot the same in Portland, where you're doing your best to make sure the agencies are getting notification of those issues and responding to them in kind.
Well, it's actually, and I don't want my politics to come out any more than they have already, but in Portland, for example, are you actually able to even call the police, or they don't even want to hear from you?
Yeah, you still call them. You still, what they do with that call after we hang up is really, on them. We do everything we can to support them to make sure that we're really doing a good job in eliminating false alarms, taking extra steps to not dispatch them senselessly. But at the end of the day, we're going to call them and going to give them a message of an alarm going off somewhere and trust that they're going to do everything they can to respond. At the same time, a lot of those areas, it's, they know what's going on in their own community. So end users to commercial buildings or customers, they're doing a lot to enhance their security systems in those markets. And they also know that the police may have a delayed response from the police department. So whether they want to supplement that with guard service, stay on site with their buildings, et cetera, they're really making those decisions on the ground level.
Well, here's someone from Portland that said, I live right outside Portland and officers are still responding to alarms.
Yeah.
Well, I thought there were areas that have been blocked off that you can't even get in. And I don't know how they're responding to those situations.
Well, remember that, what we see on TV, it looks like that's the whole area. It's just very focused on that. But even in LA County where the riots were, it was a 4-block area, right? So it would have been bigger, but, in regards to the entire county, 2 blocks away, you didn't know anything was happening. So I assume Portland to be the same. I haven't been up there, but, it's this concentrated little area that is under siege, and the officers do everything they can to remain order around it.
Yeah. Do you have dealer portal with support tools and marketing support?
No, I mean, we handle all of our dealers, personally. So they would talk to Ken Gresty. He would get them all the information they needed, and we could help support them that way. But we don't have a place where they can just go and download.
So your dealers are not going through a portal to do their own data entry for the customers?
No, they're definitely doing that. So we have that portal available where they can do their own data entry, they can run their own reports, and they can get snapshots of their businesses. But for the marketing support, everything is customized, and we hold our dealers' hands on those type of things. As far as operating their business, that's all automatic and available. But when they want to look at different programs and everything else, we customize it to them.
Okay, this question is, can you send customer text notifications? And you already answered that. You said yes.
Yes, sir.
Right. What is your most common requested testing period for residential accounts? Daily, weekly, or monthly?
I mean, we recommend to everybody, to put at least a weekly test on there. I mean, most central stations, don't charge for a weekly test. Typically, it's on your own. We didn't talk about dealers' phone lines, but every one of our dealers owns their phone line. There's never a question of, them being able to take their phone line elsewhere if they get acquired by another company or they choose a different partner. But so the cost is really on them. And then with automating signals these days, there's very little for us to do on a weekly timer test. So, that's mostly included in our base rate.
Why would there be a different rate for a testing when in other words, testing does send a signal in, but it's all automated, isn't it? A test signal.
Mostly, but we've got we customize our response for each of our dealers. We've got dealers that say, hey, listen, this is really important to my customer. I need you to call them if it doesn't work. And you might need to call 4 people. Okay, we can do that. Right. So, but if you're a standard timer test and the failure of that test is handled automatically, we don't feel that there's a need there because you're utilizing the systems that we already paid for. But when you get a customized response, that's really when those type of charges start rearing their heads.
Okay, we have confirmation on your. It's 2 blocks by 4 blocks in Portland. Everything around it looks normal.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess whatever normal means these days, I don't know. But here's more of an alarm question. You mentioned being focused on helping your dealers grow. What do you see as the biggest growth opportunity for dealers?
Oh, it's easily 3G. 3G is a door opener, right? So we're being forced to upgrade technology, and it forces all of our dealers to have conversations with their customers. When you have that customer on the phone or in person, it's really reevaluate the entire system that's deployed and upgrade them, right? So many of our dealers out there throughout the breadth of the industry, they're still on really old panels, with very low RMR. Now's the time to go in there and add on smart technology, add cameras, add all this other stuff that you can do very cheaply, and so that maybe your account size isn't growing, but your RMR overall is. So I think that 3G is although a lot of people will say it's the biggest headache of the industry, I think it's the biggest opportunity because it forces us to have those conversations. And traditionally, every time we talk to a customer and we had to talk about price or whatever else, it was kind of a hard conversation because customers would say, well, it's your system, you need to make it work and I don't want to pay extra for it. It's not my fault. But the cell phone age is really, as consumers, we upgrade our phones every 2 years and think nothing of spending the $99 activation fee or whatever else the cell phone companies charge us to do it, right? So the cultural impact of that, I think, has changed significantly, and it just becomes a great growth opportunity. Also puts you back in touch with your customer to say, hey, Mr. Customer, if you like what we're doing, tell 3 friends, and everyone that signs up, we'll give you a month's service. There's so many opportunities when you can re-engage your customer base, and this is one that really forces us to do so.
I think the industry needs to figure out how to get internet or TV on the alarm panels. So that customers,
internet and TV companies are figuring out how to put an alarm system on top of it. So we need to reverse engineer that.
Right, so customers feel a need to have those panels in every room.
That's right.
Are you saying that customers secure their own receiver phone lines and pay those charges themselves?
No, we,
No.
we want to own the line because for no other reason than it allows that line to take full advantage of our redundancy. If you just have your receiver lines and you point them to my local numbers, anything can happen and those lines are down. And then you're going to call us screaming saying my lines are down and I can't get a response from my carrier. And we're going to try to help on your behalf. And it just becomes this whirlwind. And we've seen it, time and time again. I mean, 30 years in the monitoring center, I've seen a lot of it. So, the first thing we do is we want to own the line. We'll provide it. If you're transferring that line, we're going to want to own it. And we're going to write you a letter that says, hey, this is yours anytime you want it. Yes, you have to pay your bill and then we give it to you. But I mean, I think that's just common sense. But yeah, we want to be able to take it because, we route our lines all over the country so that, if they can't get into us this way, it goes out and around that way to come into us. And you just can't do that on your own. So we provide lines to our startups. We transfer lines from dealers that are coming from other central stations. At the end of the day, we really want to own those lines, take full advantage of the redundancy that we can provide, and then offer them back to you when it's time for you to retire.
What's the cost though of a line? For example, you have a dealer with only 20 accounts on it.
Mm-hmm.
Now that dealer is going to want his own line in case he wants to move the accounts.
Right.
You can make it 50 accounts, or you can make it 100 accounts. Certainly, a line is. I have some old technology information. I don't know if it's current, but a line used to hold 1,000 accounts. Is that still accurate, or
No?
That was a phone line?
That's right. So it used to be, a line card would hold 1,000 accounts because, otherwise you get busy signals. Today, with technology today, you're streaming that through multiple channel banks and whatever else, so you don't have that issue anymore. I mean,
Okay.
you could have 100,000 on one line, but to your question, the cost is, I don't have that cost on me, but there's a minimum cost that we charge because it pays for the line, pays for all the infrastructure behind it, and then you pay usage on top of it. So you got a standard rate and then usage. And if you've got 10 accounts, your usage is going to be sub a few bucks. If you've got tens of thousands account, it could be hundreds of dollars based on your activity level. And that's just
Are you saying that your dealer pays that cost in addition to the basic monitoring charge?
Yes. Or they could just pay us a higher charge and we'll cover the toll-free, the phone line service. Right. So
higher than basic charge.
Right. So going back to your question about 1,000 accounts per line, maybe you remember the old local versus watts billing, right? So if you program your panels to a local number, it didn't cost you any more, but if you sent to a watts or a toll-free number, you had a higher charge. So we could do it the same way. Today, we don't have any dealers that do that. It's cheaper for them to pay the base rate and then the usage for their toll-free service.
Are a lot of signals come in, I guess, over telephone lines, and signals also come in through the internet, don't they? Yep. How does an alarm come? Does an alarm a dealer secure his own IP address?
No, I mean, there's technology out there today that will allow them to do that, but typically the receiver at the central station has an IP address that you program into that IP alarm system.
How does the dealer move those accounts then?
Well, depending on the service they're on, it's either automated through that service or they go out and they reprogram, each one of them.
They'd have to go out and reprogram.
Yeah, but if they're using a specific IP service, they could, like anything else, go in and set a program to change from one to the other.
Oh, okay. All right, you lost me on that, but I guess the dealers understand that.
Yeah.
I will say this: it's vital for dealers to have the ability to have their own lines or work with a central station that is willing to give that line up, assign what's known as rest board forms,
Right.
So that the line can be transferred. Because look, some dealers move accounts for one reason or another, or when they sell accounts, a buyer may want to move to a different central station for one reason or another, and therefore you really don't want to have to go back and program all these different accounts, whether it be 50 or 500 or 5,000. You need the ability to move the accounts if you need to. What about insurance? I know that you have insurance, E&O coverage, correct?
Correct.
Do you know what carrier you're with?
I don't. I mean, we have a firm that handles all that for us.
Okay.
Uh,
You recommend that your dealers, you insist that your dealers have E&O coverage, I'm sure.
yeah, absolutely.
And that,
All our dealers need to have a signed contract with us, have to prove insurance, prove their licensure where required. Um, and really just, and part of that is too, is us helping them, right? So you get a startup and they're like, well, I don't think I need that. We're here to show them, with hundreds of years of experience that yes, you do, right? And we won't take them without it. So standard for this industry is, applies to GMS as it does everybody else.
a lot of dealers don't understand, why do I need to name the central station as an additional insured
Right.
on the dealer's policy? And the answer is very simple. Well, there's two answers. One, because the central station demands it, and they all do. But as a matter of self-preservation, a dealer
Right.
needs to do it because a dealer is indemnifying the central station from claims brought by the dealer's customers, subscribers. So getting insurance and naming the central station backs up that indemnity that the dealer is providing to the central station. So rather than run from it, you need to embrace it. When you're going to a central station, it's not a bad idea to actually try and get coverage from the same carrier that the central station has. That's something that you can look at anyway.
Yeah, and we do. We promote our insurance agents to our dealers as well. Allow them access to our newsletter for advertising and best practices stuff. And and just recently over the last few months, I think maybe it's a year now, but there's this really great family law practice based on the East Coast that started this concierge program that allows smaller dealers to access that legal guidance without breaking their bank. So we appreciate everything that Kirschenbaum does for our industry and the programs they make available to the smaller dealers who generally couldn't afford to have an on-staff attorney.
Well, that sounds like a good time to close this webinar.
Yeah.
I don't have any more questions, so unless someone has a quick one, I'm about to give Robert the rest of the day off, and the rest of you too, I suppose. I want to thank everybody for attending today, and it was another successful webinar, and we'll see you again on another one, and we hope to see Robert back again also. So thanks everybody, and
thank you very much, Ken.
have a good day.